And part of it was also, I've read that, part of the temperance movement, prohibition, was the pub was, because they didn't have social media, those kind of things. So in a lot of ways, the pub was kind of the public square. You think of like the Inklings, you think of like Tolkien and Lewis and stuff. And like, that's where a lot of the ideas would formulate, and guys would sharpen one another and sometimes even, organize in a formal sense, but regularly in an informal sense. Organically, you would have ideas presented, debated, sharpened, and then from that place, eventually trickling down and being
patronage networks.
And being applied, in the public square at large. But a lot of it all circulated around men, high caliber leading men, who were sharpening, like iron sharpens iron, with one another, and ordinarily, we're doing that in the physical context of a pub.
Right.
And so by shutting down all the pubs, you were basically shutting down the place where men gathered.
Right.
And so it was, so the suffrage movement had a vested interest beyond just whatever moral issues there might be circulating with alcohol, to say, we don't want our husbands leaving the home and spending time with one another, which I would say, real quick, as just a pastoral application for women today, especially young wives. And this doesn't any longer relate to pubs, or at least not exclusively, but it's vital that you allow your husband to leave the home on occasion. He needs to be present. We're not saying always. But this idea of like your husband saying, like I've heard guys say this, it's good to be a man, said, a lot of people I remember got really upset. They were like, I can't believe that this was said, because the authors pushed back a little bit against the idea of a man's wife being his best friend. He said, no, and it's not to degrade my wife. My wife is in a position that is vastly superior to the position of my best friend. She's my wife. Wife is above best friend. But no, I have friendships with men. It doesn't mean I don't enjoy my wife or love my wife. And I'm not even saying I necessarily agree. I remember even when I read it, it was like, well, I mean, I know what they're getting at, and I certainly am not clutching my pearls. I think it was it was either right and good and helpful at best, and at worst it was, that ain't it, and benign. Certainly wasn't something for people to lose their minds with, but they did. Oh, they did. But anyways, the point is still true. So whether wife is best friend or not, in either case, she's certainly not. She may be your best friend, but I can at least say this definitively: she better not be your only friend. She better not be your only friend.
There are many such cases.
There are many such cases. Oh my goodness! And part of the reason there are many such cases is because men sometimes are pretty lousy at friendship, but also because it's weird. But like sometimes, like young women who are married, please listen to me. I'm not beating you up. Please listen. I'm trying to give you some pastoral counsel for just a moment. You want your husband to have friendships. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what it is, but I've seen it in my pastoral ministry, where there's like this weird jealousy, like almost like he's having an affair by going to a guy's night.
Right.
And it's like, no. He is, you have his allegiance. You have his devotion, his fidelity, his love. He is not betraying you by going and spending time with men. It's like, well, why doesn't he want to spend time with me? Because you're not a man. It's different.
Right.
It's different.
And because he's not, in the modern work environment, he spends 9 to 5 around a bunch of women.
Exactly. Yep. His work is surrounded by women. And even if it's with men, it's still governed and dominated by female sensibilities, female, the cackling hens of HR. It's all just, our entire world is a female longhouse. So to allow him once a week or once a month even to get out of the feminine longhouse for a couple hours and go smoke a cigar with some guys or whatever it is, to talk. And because you know what men end up doing in those contexts? It's like, well, there's nothing productive. They're just, no, it's only productive. It is only productive. Guys do not get together and talk about the weather. We don't. We get together and we're talking about philosophy and politics and theology. It's like the G.K. Chesterton quote where he says, people always say, you can talk about anything except for politics religion. And he says, I talk about nothing but politics and religion because there's nothing else worth talking about.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what men do.
Yeah.
And they get together and they talk about those kinds of things, and they throw out ideas, and then another man in a truly masculine fashion will say, "That's dumb. No, that's dumb." And then it'll be like, "Well, why is it dumb?" And then they start to hash it out, and then three other guys, they pipe in, and then you go back.
Sounds like the group chat.
Yeah. And then you go back to your wife and your kids, and you kind of are pondering and thinking about it over the next few weeks, and then you do it again. And they're all being sharpened and being shaped and being bettered.
Yep.
It's a really good thing. So all that being said, wives, especially young wives, start the habit early. Do not be threatened by your husband having male friends.
Yeah.
All right, the clock is running out. You need to go and register now for our Christ is King, How to Defeat Trash World Conference. It's happening the year of our Lord 2025, April 3rd, 4th, and 5th. That's a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And by God's grace, we're able to provide for you an all-star lineup. We've got Steve Dace, Calvin Robinson, Orrin McIntyre, Dr. Stephen Wolfe, Eric Kahn, David Reese, Andrew Isker, John Harris, A.D. Robles, Dan Burkholder, Dusty Devers, Ben Garrett, CJ Engel, and yours truly, Pastor Joel Webben. Come on out, join us April 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 2025, Thursday through a Saturday. Go to rightresponseconference.com to register today. Again, that's rightresponseconference.com.